back in the sewing room today, and I'll be making baby burp cloths. And I'll be showing you how to make these using two different styles of cloth diapers and flannel. And they're just wonderful to fling over your shoulder when you're ready to burp the baby. So let's get right to it. I'll show you the supplies you need and exactly how to make the project. The first cloth diaper I'm using is called a flat cloth diaper. And I bought a package of 10, and they're 24 by 27 inches. And then you will also need a piece of flannel that's approximately 10 by 22 inches. Very important to pre-wash both the diaper and the flannel because they do shrink up quite a bit. The second style of cloth diaper I'm using is called a pre-folded cloth diaper. And this comes in the size 19.5 by 14 inches. And then you'll need a piece of flannel that's approximately 12 by 17 inches. And again, pre-wash both of these because these really shrink up in the wash. I'll start by showing you how to make the burp cloth using the flat cloth diaper. And I'll open it up so you can see it. It's very thin. And from washing, it creates this really nice crinkly look that I like. But the edges are very curled under. So all I'm going to do is take it to the iron and press just the edges to flatten them out just a bit. Again, I really like the crinkly look, so I'm not going to press that out. All I'm doing is just flattening this out. It'll make it a little bit easier to work with. Have those edges a little bit flatter. I will fold the diaper in half, and I will line up this long edge right here, and I'm just going to sew these ends together just to kind of keep the diaper in place. And I'll use about an eighth of an inch seam allowance, and I'll put a few pins right along the bottom. Okay, I have my leader cloth. Again, about an eighth of an inch. This does not have to be perfect. It's just kind of holding the fabrics together temporarily. And you can even actually skip this step if you want to. I just like to have the sides tacked down. It's easier for me to work with. So I'll just continue sewing right down here. And you can see that the bottom does not line up. That's perfectly okay. We're going to be trimming this diaper anyway. And we can just cut it right off. Now I have the long edge sewn together just to hold it in place. You can see that this is not square at all. It's pretty wonky looking, but that's perfectly okay. I have this piece of flannel. It's a scrap piece. And so I'll just check and see if it's long enough. I just want it to be able to cover most of the diaper. And it seems like it will, so that's great. I do have a selvage along here that I need to cut off. I don't know if the camera can pick that up. So I'll go ahead and start by cutting off this selvage, and I still think it'll be wide enough to cover the diaper. Okay, so I'll just fold it up like so. And I'll just line up this fold at the bottom with a line on my ruler. And again, I'm just cutting off this selvage. And I can actually cut into it a little bit because there will be a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So that looks good. Line it up, and I'll do a cut right down here. Okay, now I'll take the diaper again. And now that I have that selvage gone, place it like so. That looks good. And then I will just fold it over to give myself an idea how wide I need this cut. I'll just give it a crease and a finger press. And this does not have to be exact. You just want to cover the diaper. Lay out my diaper, and then this time I'll put my flannel face down on the fabric, and you can see that it's not exactly the same size as the diaper, but that's okay because we'll just end up trimming away the excess diaper. Okay, I will pin this in place, and all you have to remember is to leave a little area unsewn so you can flip this right side out. So I'll just double pin that there, and that's where I'll be stopping. And then I'll start here, and I'll be leaving this portion right here unsewn, and I'll just continue pinning right around the edges. Okay, I have my 2 pins where I indicated I wanted to begin, and this time I'm using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I will backstitch to secure, and I'm just following the flannel fabric at this point. And with this 1/4 inch quilting foot, there's a little red line right here. So when you get to the end of the fabric, when the red line is lined up with your fabric evenly, then you know you can turn and it'll line up just right. And I will just continue on sewing all the way around the edges. I'm coming up to my last 2 pins. I'll remove those. That's where I started, so I want to leave an area open, and I will backstitch to secure the stitches. Now before I turn this right side out, I will cut off the excess diaper fabric that surrounds the flannel. So I'll just use my ruler. And I will reposition because I really don't want to reach out that far in front of myself. And again, I'm lining up my ruler with the edge of the flannel. I will carefully snip off the corners, being careful not to snip into my stitches. This just creates a little less bulk when you turn it right side out. And I have this little tool that I like to use, and that just makes crisper corners. Just kind of gently poke out. Now I will take it over to the iron and press again just around the edges. And I'll also press this opening. I will fold in both fabrics like so. Even them up and give that a press as well. Now I have the edges pressed, and that's what my opening now looks like. So I will just go ahead and put a pin right there. I'll take it to the machine and I'll top stitch around the entire cloth with about a 1/8 inch seam allowance. And I like to start pretty close to where my opening is. And I will back stitch. And again, I'm using about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And sometimes you need to nudge the corner. Likes to get hung up there because you do have 3 layers here. And I'm coming up on where I started, and I just do the best I can to meet up with my beginning stitches. And again, tack down. And here's what the back looks like. It's super soft. This cotton that they make those diapers out of is organic cotton, and it's just really nice. And that completes this burp cloth. And I'll just show you it measures about 22.5 inches long and about 9 inches wide. And I'll basically repeat that same exact process with my pre-folded diaper. Now this is a much different diaper. This is called pre-folded, and it's got 6 ply through the middle of it. And I'm just going to do the same exact thing. Take my flannel, and this is a fat quarter that I happen to have, and I'll just place it face down. I'll trim off my selvage, do a little measure to get it to the end, trim my flannel, and then sew around each of the 4 edges. And I'll do that off camera. I have all the edges sewn, and this particular diaper is more square than the other type. So I really don't have much trimming to do. And I squared up my flannel, so that's what I used as my guide for sewing. So I just have a little bit of diaper showing. So I'll just use my scissors this time and trim that off. And then there's a little bit over here. Again, does not have to be perfect. And I'll trim my corners. Not a heck of a lot to trim because we used a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And it's ready to take to the iron. Press around the edges. And again, I'll fold in my opening and press that as well. Here it is all top stitched. Here's the back. There's the front. Now I will give a word of caution when you're top stitching along this area here where the 6 ply is. Be very, very careful with your needle. I happen to have a really heavy duty sewing machine, but if you don't, you might choose to just do your top stitching along the long edges and not top stitch along here, just because it's pretty thick right there. And this one measures just about 17 inches long by 11 inches wide. So there you have it, 2 very simple baby burp cloths, a wonderful relaxing sewing project. And they make wonderful shower gifts. You could make 3 or 4 and add a little stuffed animal and you have the perfect little gift. So thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.